Have you ever asked yourself this quiet question? Why do I keep sabotaging the love I want the most? Why do I feel guilty for needing things, even from people who say they love me? Why do I shrink when I want to be seen? Why do I overthink everything I say? Why do I always feel like I'm the problem? And why, no matter how hard I try, do I still feel like something is missing inside me? Not broken, just missing. What if I told you? You'll never truly heal until you look into the one place you've been avoiding your whole life. Your mother. Not her as a woman, not her as your parent, but your psychological mother. The one still living inside your nervous system. The one who shaped how you see yourself without ever meaning to. Most people never go there because it's taboo, because it feels disloyal, because it hurts more than we think we can handle. But Jung said that what you do not make conscious will rule your life, and you will call it fate. And the mother wound is one of the most powerful unconscious forces in your entire life. It's not just about what she did or didn't do. It's about how you adjusted to survive her love. That's what nobody talks about. That's where the real pain hides. You didn't get here because you're weak. You got here because you were strong enough to survive what was missing. You see, the original trauma isn't always something obvious. Sometimes it's a soft, quiet ache that forms when the person you needed wasn't fully present with your soul. She may have been physically there. She may have fed you, clothed you, held you, but did she see you? Not just your behavior, not just your needs. Did she see you? The wild, radiant, sensitive, furious, dreaming, tender self that you were born with? Or did she need you to be something else? Did you become her emotional caretaker, her source of pride, her reason for feeling like a good mom, her emotional mirror? Did you become what she needed you to be instead of who you truly were? Because if you did, even just a little, you learned a lesson that still shapes your life today. I must abandon myself to be loved. This is the unspoken rule inside almost every adult who can't rest in love, who feels anxious in closeness, who feels guilt for setting boundaries, who overgives and underreceives, who doubts themselves after every interaction, who tries to earn love by becoming better. It started long before you could think. It started the moment your nervous system realized being fully me puts love at risk, and you split. Not in a dramatic way, in a silent way. You exiled the parts of you that were too wild, too angry, too loud, too needy, too emotional, too much. You kept the parts that made her smile, and buried the rest. Jung called this exile the formation of the shadow. It's not evil. It's not darkness. It's the gold you had to hide to survive. But here's the problem. When you bury your truth to keep loving, you end up feeling alone, even when you're loved. You become disconnected from your own soul, and you don't know why. You think it's depression, anxiety, burnout. You think it's your job, or your partner, or your past. But underneath all of that is the wound of becoming what she needed instead of who you were. And until you look at that, gently, honestly, and with sacred courage, you'll keep repeating the same pattern. You'll seek love from people who feel familiar, and familiar isn't safe. Familiar is what hurt you. That's why healing feels like war. That's why peace feels like danger. That's why healthy love feels boring at first. Because your body doesn't recognize it. Your body was wired for survival love, not soul love. And now your soul is calling you to break the pattern, to finally come home to yourself. But you can't do that until you turn around and face what you've been avoiding your whole life. The sacred grief, the ache that has no name, the sadness you inherited not just from your mother, but from her mother and her mother before her. Because this isn't just your story. This is a lineage of women who were taught to survive love, not embody it. They were taught to silence their needs, to be strong, to be perfect, to be good, to put others first, to stay quiet, to stay small, to stay pleasing. And in that legacy, your mother did her best. But her best may have still left you bleeding. That's not betrayal. That's reality. You can love her deeply and still admit she didn't know how to love all of you. And it's okay to say that. You're not blaming her. You're not shaming her. You're setting yourself free. Because the truth is this: you're not still hurting because of what she did. You're hurting because of what you had to do in response. You abandoned yourself to stay close to her, and you've been doing it ever since. You abandon your truth to be liked. You abandon your anger to be accepted. You abandon your boundaries to be safe. You abandon your joy to be responsible. You abandon your voice to keep the peace. You think you're just being nice. But really, you're reenacting the only way you've ever known to receive loving by disappearing. But your soul doesn't want to disappear anymore. It wants to emerge. And emergence always starts with grief. You have to grieve what you didn't get. You have to feel the ache you've been avoiding. You have to look at her, not just as your mother, but as the symbol of what shaped your sense of worth. She didn't have to be cruel to hurt you. She just had to not see you. And once you admit that, something shifts. You stop chasing people who can't love you. You stop proving your worth to people who refuse to see it. You stop trying to earn love. You start becoming it. You learn to mother yourself, not with perfection, but with presence. That's all you ever needed. Not a perfect mother, a present one. And now you can become that for yourself, but it starts with the wound. You must go down into the ache, not to drown in it, but to retrieve what you left behind. Your fire, your voice, your knowing, your boundaries, your instincts, your joy, your sacred. No, your untamed. Oh yes, all of it. It's still there, beneath the armor you built around your heart. You thought the armor protected you, but it only protected the version of you who had to survive. Now, you're being called to live, not survive. Live, and to live it you have to feel, not once, not all at once, but slowly, in layers, with care. You'll cry, you'll rage, you'll shake, you'll want to run, you'll want to numb, you'll want to go back to pretending. But don't. Stay. There is a part of you that never stopped waiting to be chosen. She's waiting still. She's tired of hiding. She's tired of proving. She's tired of being good. She just wants to be free. And you're the only one who can set her free. Not by fixing her. Not by telling her to grow up. But by listening. Let her cry. Let her say what she was never allowed to say. Let her be angry. Let her be wild. Because everything she feels is valid. Every unmet need, every forgotten truth, every memory you didn't know you were carrying in your bones. All of it. This is not just healing. This is rebirth. This is the beginning of the end of your shame. And it starts with a simple, sacred truth. It's okay to say, she didn't love me in the way I needed. That doesn't make you ungrateful. That makes you honest. And honesty is what sets the soul free. You can love her. You can honor her journey. And still honor the ache she left in you. Because until you do that, you will keep abandoning yourself. And the world doesn't need another version of you pretending to be okay. It needs the version of you who feels deeply, who questions everything, who speaks with trembling truth, who loves from a place of wholeness, not hunger. The version of you who doesn't just forgive blindly, but understands fully. The one who no longer seeks permission to be free. Because freedom doesn't come from fixing her. It comes from facing yourself. And remembering, you were always worthy of love, even when you were too much, even when you were not enough, even when she didn't see you, even when you disappeared. You are still here. And that means something. It means your story isn't over. It means your soul is still calling you home. And home is where you finally stop performing. Home is where the real healing begins. Home is not a place. It's a surrender. A letting go of the mask you wear, the one shaped by a mother's love you once needed to survive. This surrender is not easy. It is the dark night of the soul, the blackening of the chrysalis before the butterfly can emerge. You see, when you face the mother wound, you enter the labyrinth of your unconscious. Here live the ghosts you thought were dead. Here live the parts of you thought you lost. Here live the shadows, your abandoned self, your hidden rage, your silent grief. Jung said the shadow is the part of the psyche you refuse to acknowledge. But shadows are not evil. They are simply the parts of yourself that you have exiled to protect the ego. You learned early on that some feelings were too dangerous to show, too shameful to admit, too frightening to carry, so you buried them deep in the basement of your soul. But the basement never stays quiet forever. Its darkness calls to you. It whispers your name when you are alone. It moves in your dreams. Ignoring the shadow only strengthens it. It grows in power behind your back, controlling your fears, your judgments, your self-sabotage, until one day it breaks through. Sometimes softly, sometimes violently. The mother wound lives in this shadow. It is the part of you that still believes you are not enough, because a child once learned she was. Not enough for her mother's love. Not enough for her mother's approval. Not enough for her mother's presence. And that belief became a seed that grew into a forest of self-doubt, shame, and loneliness. You have wandered through this forest, searching for peace. But peace cannot grow in soil poisoned by unspoken grief. The journey to healing is the journey inward. It is the journey to meet the child you left behind, the child who still waits to be seen. You cannot outrun this child. You cannot distract yourself from her. You must invite her forward. Sit with her sadness. Hold her trembling hand. Feel her pain as your own. Let her voice rise inside you, no matter how small or broken it sounds. This is the beginning of individuation. Individuation is not becoming someone new. It is reclaiming the parts of yourself you lost to survive. It is the sacred process of becoming whole. But to become whole, you must first face ego death. The ego is the mask you wear in the world. It is the you that learned how to adapt, to please, to hide. Ego death is the dismantling of that mask. It is the surrender of control. It is the acceptance that you are more than your story, more than your pain. Ego death is terrifying because it feels like losing yourself, but it is actually the path to finding yourself. When the ego dies, the soul begins to speak. And the soul does not speak in words. It speaks in symbols, feelings, and mysteries. This is why the healing of the mother wound cannot be rushed. It cannot be fixed with logic or willpower. It must be felt in the body, in the heart, in the depths of your being. You will have to sit with the paradox that the woman who wounded you is also the woman who gave you life, that your survival depended on becoming less of yourself, and now your healing depends on becoming more. The paradox is sacred. You are both the child who was abandoned and the adult who chooses to love herself. You are both the wounded and the healer, and the path between them is not straight. It is a spiral. It circles back on itself, revealing new layers of pain and light. Sometimes the pain will seem unbearable. You will want to turn away, to forget, to numb. But healing asks you to stay, to be present with your shadow, to bring light into the dark corners of your soul. Because light does not destroy shadow, it transforms it. When you bring awareness to the parts of you that were rejected, you begin to integrate them. You welcome the wildness, the rage, the neediness, the sadness. You hold them gently like sacred guests. And in that acceptance, the soul begins to align. Soul alignment is the harmony between your inner truth and your outer life. It is the moment when you stop trying to be what others expect and start being who you really are. This alignment brings freedom. Freedom from the endless cycle of seeking approval. Freedom from the fear of abandonment. Freedom from the need to perform for love. But freedom is not the end. It is the beginning of a new way of being. Because when you heal the mother wound, you don't just heal yourself. You heal the lineage. You break the chain. You become the mother you needed. not by fixing your own mother, but by becoming the mother of your own soul. This is the highest act of love. A love that is fierce and tender, a love that holds the ache and the joy, a love that says, I see you, I honor you, you are enough, and in that love, the soul breathes. It rises like a phoenix from the ashes of old pain. It steps into the light of its own truth. And the world sees you, not the shadow you hid, but the light you carry through the darkness. So, I ask you again, are you ready to face the shadow of your mother wound? Are you ready to meet the child who still waits for your love? Because your soul is calling you home. Home is waiting. The silence after facing your mother's shadow is like standing at the edge of a vast ocean, dark, endless, and alive with unknown tides. It is here, in this sacred silence, that the soul begins to whisper secrets forgotten, songs hidden beneath layers of pain and expectation. You may feel lost, unmoored, like a ship whose sails have torn in the storm. But this lostness is the beginning of your becoming. To be lost is not to be broken. It is to be raw and open, like earth freshly tilled, ready to receive new seeds of light. Your unconscious has been the guardian of your truth, the keeper of your soul's deepest wounds and wisdom. And now it is time to listen. Listen not with your mind, but with the stillness beneath your thoughts, the quiet space where the true self waits, patient and steady. This listening is not passive. It is an act of courage, a surrender and a confrontation all at once. You surrender the need to understand fully, to control the narrative, to be the hero of your own story. And you confront the hidden parts of yourself that have been locked away in darkness. These parts are not strangers. They are fragments of your soul, shards that broke off when love was denied, when you had to become smaller to survive. The child who needed a mother's warmth became a ghost wandering the corridors of your heart. But ghosts are not forever bound to haunt. They can be invited into the light, given space to speak and be heard. This is the alchemy of shadow work. It is the sacred dance between light and dark, the recognition that both are essential to wholeness. The wound left by your mother's absence or pain is not a mark of weakness. It is a doorway through which you must pass to find yourself. And on the other side of that doorway lies the vast landscape of your soul, wild, mysterious, and deeply alive. Here, you meet the archetypes, those eternal figures within the collective unconscious who shape the story of your life. Among them, the Great Mother appears, not as the woman who failed you, but as the primal source of creation, destruction, and renewal. She is the Dark Mother, fierce and wild, holding both life and death in her embrace. To heal your mother wound, you must learn to walk with her, to enter her sacred cave where shadows reign. This cave is the unconscious itself, where the soul's mysteries dwell. Inside, you may confront fear, anger, grief, the raw emotions you were never allowed to express. But you may also find gifts, strength, intuition, creativity, and a deep knowing. These gifts have been hidden beneath your pain, waiting for you to claim them. The process is not linear. It moves like water, flowing, retreating, returning. You will feel moments of despair, times when the weight of your wound feels unbearable. But you will also know moments of grace, fleeting glimpses of a light that no darkness can extinguish. These glimpses are the soul's promise, that healing is possible, that transformation is real, and that you are not alone. The mother wound connects us all, woven into the fabric of humanity's collective soul. It is a shared story of longing, loss, and hope. When you embrace your own wound, you touch the wounds of others. You become a vessel of compassion and understanding. This is the heart of individuation, the journey of becoming fully yourself, while recognizing your place in the whole. You learn that your pain is not just yours. It is a thread in the tapestry of life, and your healing is a gift to the world. Because when you heal the mother wound, you change the pattern for those who come after you. You rewrite the story of love, breaking the cycle of abandonment and fear. you become a new kind of mother, not bound by blood or tradition, but by the sacred act of nurturing your own soul. This nurturing is fierce and tender. It is the wild heart of the great mother herself. It is the source of creation, the rhythm of the seasons, the pulse of the earth, and it lives within you. So, as you stand at the edge of your inner ocean, know this: the depths you fear to face are the depths where your soul waits to be found. The shadow you fear to meet is the shadow that will set you free. The wound you carry is the seed of your awakening. Step into the silence, listen to the whispers, trust the dark tide. Your journey is sacred, your healing is real, and in the unfolding, you will find your way home. You have walked through shadow, descended into the silent cave of your own soul, faced the mother wound not as a victim, but as a seeker, brave, raw, and real. And now you stand on the threshold of something new. The threshold where old stories dissolve, and the soul begins to breathe freely again. But know this: healing is not a destination. It is an endless unfolding, a sacred spiral that turns deep within you, pulling you toward wholeness and pulling you toward mystery. You may think healing means fixing what was broken, but true healing means embracing the brokenness itself. It means loving the jagged edges, the raw scars, the places that still ache with absence. It is in these places, the wounded places, the tender places, that your soul's light shines brightest. This light is not about perfection. It is about truth, about authenticity, about the fierce and tender love you give to yourself when no one else could. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Becoming who you truly are means stepping into your shadow and finding the treasure buried there. It means recognizing that the mother wound is not your curse, but a call to awaken. It is the black seed planted deep in your soul, waiting to bloom into fierce self-love, wild compassion, and radiant freedom. You will never heal by running away. You will never heal by pretending the wound does not exist. Healing comes when you face it, when you hold it, when you let it speak its truth. And in that truth, you find your power. Your power to choose your own story. Your power to rewrite the script of love. Your power to become the mother and the child, the shadow and the light, the wounded and the whole. The journey is not easy. It asks everything of you. Your patience, your courage, your honesty. But it also gives everything back. Peace, depth, and the sacred alignment of your soul. So I invite you now, not to look outward, but inward, into the quiet spaces inside yourself where your true mother waits. Not the woman who raised you, but the eternal archetype of nurture and love that lives within every soul. Find her there. Call her forth with gentle breath. Hold her in your heart, and know that in doing so, you begin to heal not just your own wound, but the wound of generations. The wound carried silently in the blood, in the stories told and untold, in the spaces between your heartbeats. This is the sacred gift of facing your mother wound, that through your healing, you become a beacon for others, a lighthouse in the storm, a guide through the dark, a living testament to the power of love that transforms. And so, as this journey unfolds, remember you are not broken beyond repair. You are not lost in shadow forever. You are the chrysalis breaking open, the black seed blooming, the soul awakening to its own sacred light. This is your birthright. This is your sacred task. To love yourself deeply, to walk gently through your shadow, and to rise, whole, radiant, and free. And in that rising, may you find the peace that has been waiting all along.